A very good evening, everyone. My name is Devika Dasari. With me is Nikhila Karlapalam. She's the co-host for today's session. I will be hosting the session along with her. We are the students of PGPpro Co class of 2022 Hyderabad. We both together will be moderating today's session. It's an honor and a privilege to have Dr. Kiran Bedi here with us today at the Indian School of Business. Dr. Bedi doesn't need any introduction. Nevertheless, it's always a proud moment to listen about her. She is an Indian social activist who was the first woman to join the Indian Police Service and who has been instrumental in introducing prison reforms in India. Her education included an undergraduate degree in English, a master's degree in political science, a law degree, and a PhD in social science with a focus on drug abuse and domestic violence. She joined the IPS as a 23-year-old in 1972 and went on to serve a variety of roles, including that of narcotic officer, anti-terrorist specialist, and administrator. She has earned recognition for the work she did as Inspector General of Prisons, beginning in 1994. In that capacity, she has reformed the largest prison in India, the Tihar prison complex in Delhi, by addressing corruption and human rights abuses she found there. She targeted sanitation and nutrition problems at Tihar and also implemented new literacy and drug treatment programs there. In 2003, she became the first woman and the first Indian to be appointed as United Nations Civilian Police Advisor. She also founded two voluntary non-governmental organizations, Navjyoti and India Vision Foundation, both of which were established to operate primary education and adult literacy programs. She has been a recipient of numerous awards in India and abroad. She has also been an accomplished tennis player and won several Asian championships. From 2016 to 21, Dr. Bedi served as a Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry, Union Territory. The method she used to discharge her constitutional duties there evoked much respect and appreciation from many, including the President of India. Ma'am, we, the students of ISB, are delighted to have you here today. On behalf of the entire ISB community, I extend you a very warm welcome today. We all are looking forward to have an insightful session with you this evening. I also welcome the dignitaries on and off the dais, professors, students, and all my dear friends. I would now like to request Dr. Kiran Bedi to come onto the dais and address the gathering. Thank you.
Friend Raman Pandey and his entire group who have volunteered with him, Sumit Jain, Adil Khan, Rahul Kumar, Raman Pandey I mentioned, he's a leader of the gang, Harish Kapu, I don't want to spell it wrong. Good, you've spelled it for yourself. Vishal Sharma, Dinesh Kumar, Zubair, Kunal Jain, Kishore Sama, Dipti, Nikhila Karlapalam, Devika Dasari? Oh yeah, Dasari. Thank you. Rashi Sureka, Charuthi, Balarama, Pravina, Puneet Bhatt. Look, so much has gone behind my coming. You could have saved the effort. Totally, you could save the effort. Anyway, it's an honor. I want to recognize the presence of my very dear friend, Nirupma Mankad. She was India's #1 for many, many years. National champion for many, many years. Niru and I have shared the tennis court many times, but every time she was on the court, she beat me. It's only when she started to expect Mir, your friend, your professor, that I found the place. So Mir's getting conceived helped me become India's #1. Thank you. And Mir is your professor. So friends, as I said, I owe this visit to him because for many months, he absolutely brilliantly pursued that I make it here. And then when he said he wants me to come and speak to this pro group, I said, okay, I'll do it on one condition, I'm not going to give you a lecture because I'm not good at that. I'm not a professor. I'm a practicing administrator. I'm not a theorist. I am a practitioner of practices which serve the people of the country. That's what I've been doing for the last 40 years of Indian police service. And I said that I have one condition. I offer you my book, Fearless Governance, and that's a hard copy. I don't want you to bother buying it. Here is my soft copy. Read it if you like. If you like it, then share it. And share it. If the majority likes it, I'll come. And that's what happened. That's exactly what happened. I didn't ask anybody to buy my book. I just said, share the soft copy and pick up any chapter of the book. I didn't even say read the whole book. I just said read selectively. Even if you like one chapter, then quiz me on that one chapter so that we can be, because the chapters are all 3-page each, 2.5-page each, that's it. So it's all practices of how Puducherry was administered as a lieutenant governor when I took over in 2016. What did I see as a lieutenant governor? Fortunately, we also have one more person we can recognize who was my additional secretary when I took over at the Raj Nivas. That's Mr. Srinivas. Mr. Srinivas is a government officer in India. That's Mr. Srinivas and his wife, Vanilla. So they are happy. They were part of the Raj Nivas. So when I took over, Srinivas was already there. So when I share you the story, it will resonate a lot with him. And I think if he had written the book, it would have been even more incisive because he knew Raj Nivas much more than I did. But I knew it for only 5 years. So I then, as I was appointed, I had an expectation. I was given an expectation by nobody other than the Honorable Prime Minister. I don't know how many of you finally did get an opportunity to go through the chapters, but I will take you through. I'll navigate a little bit of the book, but I will also go a little dive in deeper into in fact, your presentation made me reflect a little to say, did I do all this from May 16, or what is it that I came to it with? Raman, that's what I did. The book doesn't take you much back. When I started the service in 1972 and then ran through various assignments in my career, it doesn't do that. It focuses on just that work. But I started to actually ask myself, you made me reflect, where did I get this idea from? Did I practice this before? And since you're talking about leadership, that's what I'm looking at. When does leadership begin? Some of the practices I lived and worked through from May 16 till February of 2021, I asked myself, and then I went back into my own records, my own archives, which I carefully maintain, and I found a very good relationship. And I think that is what resonates with most of you, because you are students. You are all here to learn. And I understand that you are all keen learners. That's why either you come on your own, or you've been sent by your companies to better the performance, or whatever way. Or you have also faculty members who will be looking at and then examining what I say. Which theory does it fit in? I do not know which theory it fits in. All I know is it fits into the theory of performance with purpose. That's all it does. Perform with a purpose. And I had a mission to fulfill, and how I fulfilled that mission. And I'm proud of the fact that I did. And I have left this, that's what this book is a product of. So I'm going to take you quickly now through the book, journey through, and see how it goes. Now, this is what made me dig. My earlier presentations which I've made on the book doesn't include this. And I realized that this is what I was as a 23-year-old young lady, if that's a lady. Young lady. It was not overgrown, it's just a young woman. And I was leading this 26th January parade, 1975. And for the first time in history of India, where a male parade was led by a woman at the Rajpath. Now, I want to go back to the background of this leadership. I was the only woman IPS officer at that time in the batch. And I was informed that this position, this leadership, is going to go to another male colleague of mine who was junior in seniority because he was a man. And my IG felt, then Mr. P.R. Rajgopal, a very fine gentleman, the Inspector General, chose him, a man called Anil Sinha. And I was told, नहीं madam, आप नहीं parade lead करेंगे, Anil Sinha करेगा. तो मैंने कहा क्यों? बोले ये नहीं मालूम. So I said ठीक है. So I'd just come back from my training in the National Police Academy, Mount Abu, and I said, okay, I'll go and see the Inspector General. I'll go and see the IG. So I dared to find out why have I been denied a rightful position. First of all, second was rightful position, not claim to a position because I'm a woman, but a rightful position. Because I was told practice was the senior most IPS officer deals. So I said, sir, I've heard that Anil Sinha will be leading the parade 26 January. He said, yes, Kiran. Yes, what is it? I said, sir, isn't the practice that the IPS officer, by seniority, virtue of seniority, leads the parade? He said, yes. I said, sir, then am I that not? Am I that not? He said, yes. So I said, sir, why not me? He said, would you be able to do it? I said, sir, why not? I've qualified for the Indian Police. I've qualified and come through these rigors of 2.5 to 3 years of training. I did everything similar as the men. I did nothing. I asked for no change and exemption. I have fulfilled all and have qualified equally. Sir, please believe me, I will not let you down. He stood up and he shook my hands. And he said, yes, you will lead the parade. So it's a very, very important that assertion, assertively, self-belief, self-confidence, knowing who you are, and that you're capable of doing it, and also never let an opportunity go. This was ingrained with me as a 22-year-old. But prior to that, when I'm introducing you to Nirupama Mankar, she and I were playing competitive tennis from the age of 14, 15, 16, 17, losing, winning. I think it goes back to my sporting days, and I was introduced. So I think what's important, my friends, what am I driving at, is that you are all students. Please go into yourselves and look at your own leadership qualities. Do your own SWOT analysis of who you are. What are the leadership qualities you're looking at and you admire and you like? How much do you have? Rate yourself 10 on 10, 5 out of 10 in this, confidence, self-belief, 6 out of 10, or a lot of perseverance, stamina, etc., team building, all that involves, all the leadership qualities are beautifully being written every day. Ask yourself on a daily basis, time to change is now. Time to groom is now. It's your foundation building time. This was my foundation building time. But my foundations had been built as a teenager, which I started to live up when I proved it here. So I thought I'll share with you this, because if I would tell you I did it like this, I don't think it would have made much sense. Then I'll take you to the next one. Take you to the next one. Oh. Can you just stand by here then, in case I slip out? This is another one. It's as you grow. You see, as you grow, I want to say playing competitive sports is vital in your character building. But we skip that. We think that's a time wasted. It's gone. No, it's not gone. Actually, it's building you. It's building your bones. It's giving you better blood circulation. It's giving you stamina. It's giving you an appetite. It's giving you mental tenacity. It's giving you the fighting spirit. I did this as a police officer. It is this area. There are other pictures where I had a gallantry award. This brought me the gallantry award, where I fought with swords with a particular agitation. That's what. So what I'm saying is, see how the two things go. Where did they come from? They came from my school days. They came from my college days. They came from my competitive sports. If you don't do this as a child, so I go and ask many times when I go to girls' college, do you play? 3 hands of girls and 30 hands of boys. So I said, why 3 hands? Aren't you going to be leaders of tomorrow? Then why only 3 hands? Why don't you go and play? Go lose, go win, get hit, go hit back, fall, get up again. So rather than reading theory, get up every time you fall, hit back, respond, don't react, act, all this is theory, but this is practical. So I'm a practicing teacher. I'm not a theory teacher. So I'm only showing you ways to practice. That's it, practice leadership. So here it is where I grew. Now let's go to my beliefs, friends. These are my beliefs on which I would like you to take home, if you like them. Life is 10% of what happens to you, and 90% how you respond to it. See that? My first incident of 26 January is an example of that. Similarly, the lathi charge is example of that. Second, today is life. The only life you are sure of. Make the most of today. What drives home this maximum message is what we've all gone through COVID in the past. Recently, what happened to our near and dear ones. We make a living by what we get, but we make a living by what we give. How much of you have been givers at heart? How much have your parents been givers at heart? And what are the occasions you find to give? Like for instance, I don't give money. I don't no extra money, but I give time. I donate time. And today my donation to ISB is my time and energy. So I give without any expectations of any return. So this is how it's every one of us have our strengths to give. What is it that we can give? So this is very important for you as leaders to understand that you are growing up not to make a living only. Yes, you will. You've already made a living because most of you are already at work. But you will make a life only by what we give. So what you give, ask yourself every day, what did I give during today? What did I take? Of course you're taking. You're taking education. You're giving your fee, that's it. That's transactional. But what have you given beyond it? Fourth, anyone who stops learning is old. So whether at 20 or 80, I'm at 72. So anyone who stops learning is old, whether at 20 or at 72, my age. Anyone who keeps learning stays young. That's what made me stay young. Because it takes me back to youth every time. And it also challenges me to read more, experience more, think more, reflect more. And finally, these are my beliefs. If you don't design your own life plan, chances are you will fall into someone else's plan. Friends, this is how I grew up as a woman. If I had not designed my own life as a woman, and the 60s when I was growing up, the world belonged to boys at that time. I would not have been where I am today. I designed my own life. I knew what all aspects of life meant. So I had also options to marry early, but I kept rejecting them, saying enough is enough. First, let me be on my own feet, be my own provider, and choose my own lifestyle before I share a life rather than give a life. So this is very important that you design. You need to also look at designing of your own lives. Otherwise, someone else will. Then you can't change at any stage. But it's a time when you want to start changing it. And you realize you need to change it. And then take the journey towards that. I thought I'd bring you with my beliefs. Now, this is the opening of the book. This is the opening chapter of the book, The Call and the Calling. Why is it the call and the calling? Chapter is call and calling because it was a call from the Prime Minister to say, if you will take up this assignment, Kiranji. And I said, yes, sir, with great respect, and what a joy it was to accept his offer of being the Puducherry Lieutenant Governor. But why is it a calling? That's a mystery in our lives, which none of us can resolve. 10 years prior to my joining Lieutenant Governor, I was at the Samadhi of Mother and Sri Aurobindo. I went with a friend of mine, drove down from Madras to Pondicherry because I'd never seen Pondicherry, and I loved the offer of she driving me down to see it. And when I bowed my head there and I touched the Samadhi, my inner calling came, voice from within came, go see Rajnivas. Go see Rajnivas. So I talked to my friend and I said, Rajnivas kahan hai? Abhi hai piche ek sadak. ek gali, one road away, it's there. I said, let's go there. I want to go. I didn't tell her why. I said, I want to see Raj Niwas. So it was a call by the Prime Minister, but it is a calling from somewhere. It's mysterious. So there's a mysterious aspect of our lives as well, if you trust hearing your inner voice. Inner voice will never misguide you, provided you listen to it. That's another leadership quality which I would like you to take away. Giving yourself quietude time to listen to yourselves. I listened to it, and I was a listener anyway, by habit, listening to it, and that's how. The call of the Prime Minister was very interesting. It said, Jaakar Kiran ji, wahan paise ka dhyan rakhna. Which meant clearly, he didn't tell me explicitly why he said it. So he reposed huge trust in me straight away, saying, wahan jaake paise ka dhyan rakhna. And secondly was my calling, and two things connected immediately, that here I'm 10 years earlier, I went to Raj Niwas, and that time Srinivas was there. He was still the additional secretary there. And he met me and he offered me a cup of tea, right? Srinivas, you remember? But you didn't give me a good biscuit. We can compensate, right? The fact is, he's such a good friend that he now follows me, he and his wife, who's a dentist. So friends, it was a call and a calling from there. This is what I wanted to explain to you, the chapter. It's only 2 pages, but if you read it, you'll get it all. And in the end, the last line is, when I was offered this thing, I decided to give it all. Now, then came the oath ceremony. I had an option. You hear oath ceremonies, they take an oath and they go home. I didn't go home. I didn't go home. I'll tell you what I did. No. Now, I need a video of this. Yeah, okay. I like to share my 3 principal mantras, and I shared some of them with the expected leader. The first one being trust. This would mean working with integrity in all forms, financial, administrative, and intention. The second mantra, my friends, is empowerment. This means enabling and enhancing optimum utilization of resources while addressing concerns. It also means promoting self-reliance through training, mentoring, and more. My third mantra, my friends, and the final mantra is accountability. Not just to the people, but also to yourself. It means implementing and promoting respect for law. Together, these mantras form an acronym called T. T for trust, E for empowerment, and A for accountability. I thought it would be, if you even carry home these 3 messages, this T mantra: remain trustworthy, empower wherever you are already empowered when you're in a position, empower others, and provide accountability for all the decisions you take. All the decisions you take. So remain accountable. Lead the way by accountability. Now, this is a precedent I set up here when I did this oath ceremony. I said I shall give a mission statement, and the mission statement was prosperous Puducherry. That we will work towards prosperous Puducherry, which meant everybody equal, and then giving a practicing mantra of trust, empowerment, and accountability. That was my North Star. And every action of mine as a Lieutenant Governor was trustworthy, whether I was trustworthy, whether I was empowering people, and whether I was accountable for all the decisions. So you see through the book, chapter after chapter, the way accountability was challenged. Accountability was met with great hostility. So we'll come to that later. So now the third thing, this is another giveaway for you, is the vital thing is, how do you start your day? Do you build your day by energy? Or do you just pop out of the bed and run because you had a late night, you've been studying and all, etc., etc.? How do you generate energy? I generated energy. I was not an experienced administrator from the administration point of view. I had been HOD on many departments before that, but I had never been given a larger responsibility as of the Lieutenant Governor. I had to generate a lot of energy. And by the way, I knew nobody, none of the bureaucrats I knew earlier, none of them. And most of them were from the southern region. So we were not friends. Yes, we were part of colleagues, but it's no friendships, no language relationships, particularly the second level was by and large mostly abundantly Tamil speaking. So I had to generate my own ideas. I had to generate my own, so many situations you will go by yourself. You'll enter departments afresh, but you will have to generate your own ideas. How do you do that? I'm going to come through the presentation with you. I think some of you may need this. So I used to generate energy. There's a view in this, yeah? Yeah. This fitness is both mind and body. Mind and body. It's a need. If one wants to do more, get more out of the day, one would begin with total physical fitness, which generates mind fitness. Any one of us who wants to do the best and the maximum and get the best out of the day will generate energy in the morning by both physical fitness and mind fitness, which comes through meditation and through yoga programs. Celebrate fitness every day. There's no holiday in fitness. You have to be fit. To get the best out of ourselves, we have to be fit every day. You not both bad, huh? In mind, not your forehand. That's what Sports Day is, a reminder. That is sports every day. And sports is fitness. Sports is tenacity. Sports is stamina, endurance, personal energy. Energy to serve. So the more India will be fit, the more it will be able to serve its country better, serve families better, serve work better. So fitness is an essential food of both mind and the body. Now I went back to where did I get this from? Did I just generate it as Lieutenant Governor? I realized it goes back to 1993 and even earlier. When same meditation program, I got it done for 1,000 prisoners. 1,000 prisoners. Then I took it also to Delhi Police when I was Joint Commissioner training there. When I made the entire police training center go through Vipassana meditation course of 10 days. I sat in it myself before I did it in Rajnivas. So I thought I must share with you, your good habits will go with you. So will your not good habits. I'm not saying bad habits. Not good habits will also go with you, unless you consciously decide to surgically cut them off. Just as you can acquire good habits, but it requires a greater effort. But I thought the habit of inner engineering is very vital. Please give it a thought. If you're doing it, you're doing the right thing. If you're not doing it, you certainly need it as leaders. Because as corporates, you will have every day a new challenge. Because if you're transforming your decision making, you're changing, you're asking for better ideas, your market challenges, your financial crises, your disaster management, God knows what situation comes. Because life is not a one straight line at all. It has its hills and curves. So friends, go into this habit of inner engineering. It stays with you. It stayed with me. It came so naturally. Similarly, the nature capture, it stayed with me again. Playing outdoor takes you to into nature. When you play outdoor games particularly. So you become lover
Look
of
at this
nature.
little butterfly along with it. Wow. Every day is a new day at Rajnivas. So beautiful. Thank you, God. Thank you.
These were little pictures I took from so if you walk into nature, find a way, and you're full of nature here. Okay, how many of you daily do a morning walk? Or can I shoot the picture for you and show you on the screen? How many hands have gone up? May I? How many of you play games? Good. That's good. How many girls play? Can I shoot a picture and show you? More can. How many of you regularly play? It's 30%. How many girls regularly play? Okay, I have to take a shot. This is pretty low. These are habits, please don't leave them. Thank you. You'll be different. If you regularly do inner engineering, if you regularly play, if you're regularly into nature, you are standing out. I can tell you. Other things will build up. But you already will have an edge. If I would recruit you, I would ask you these questions. How much do you regularly play? Is this a habit or is it acquired? Or is it for the interview? So these are very, very valuable golden habits. Stick to them if you have. Those of you who don't have, these will be strengthening you. Morally, spiritually, physically, emotionally. Because sports also has a lot of emotion. Because you laugh in that. You hug in that. You have a team spirit in that. Right? You lose. You sulk. But you come back and you bounce back. Because all the time theory is bounce back, bounce back. How? If you not learn to bounce back, sports naturally teaches you. So friends, now I'm coming to the nuts and bolts. This is a very important 10 a.m. meeting we always had. Normally, officers have a habit, sabko bula lo, jab marzi bula lo. नहीं, मैं सबको 10 बजे बुलाती थी, उसके बाद नहीं बुलाती थी. Finished. The work is done. We've set the tone, we've set our trends, we've set our policies, we've set our strategies. After that, it's one-on-one with my secretary or others. But it's never as a group. So 10 a.m. meeting, you may choose 9 a.m., you may choose 5 a.m., 5 p.m. No, preferred is start your day early with them. So just as you do inner engineering early, similarly with the work team, we set the tone. 10 a.m. and it's minuted. It's not gossip. It's to the point. It's minuted, audited the next day. We begin with what was decided yesterday, who's done what is carry forward, what has been achieved. Imagine so much of achievement in a time-bound manner without any much talking, not lasting more than 30 minutes or 35. That's it. And if there was anything required here, and look at the team building, it's happening. Look at the accountability, it's happening. Look at the meeting of minds, it's happening. Look at the collective wisdom which is happening. This is at 10 a.m. And all of them are knowing Pondicherry by heart. All of them. Srinivas is sitting there. You see him? Sri, do you recognize yourself? Okay. So, look at this. This is called team building. There's no shortcut to this, friends. Now these webinars, yes, do. But there's no replay. Now that things are back, do webinars, do meeting webinars. It's a very good idea. To cut time and go short, do that. But when you can meet, it will be a great, if you are, let's say all of you are in one building, I think it's great fun to be in one short meet. But if you're spread out, then you do hybrid. Then hybrid, that's a great idea. So I think you can find your own ways. But the key is, does the top leadership, policy making, decision making, give time to itself, each other, and they listen to each other? We were listening to each other. And I was the last speaker all this, but the decider. That was my decision. But it was collective decision, which everybody nodded. And if everybody didn't nod it, then I said, why have you not nodded? Tell me if you have a better idea, we'll alter it. So we were open to change. But the point is we needed a better idea. So here you are. I again found what I did in the Rajnivas, I'd done this earlier. And it just came naturally to me. I was a special secretary to Lieutenant Governor Delhi in 1999, the year 99. And what did I do in 2016? I repeated it. Then as special secretary to the LG, I used to do the open house. You see the queue? You see the queue? This is opened from one of my illustrative storybooks. I have an illustrating storybook. In that, this was a chapter. LG activates a Better Delhi campaign, Kiran Bedi in tow. This was 1999. And this is immediately a thing which, as Special Secretary of LG, I did this as LG as an open house. I opened it up. And this is where you see the pictures. I think you have a visual. Let me see if you have. So now what is this open house? If you're in a public, depending on the kind of job you do, the kind of work you have, if you can open up your system on a regular basis and meet people one-to-one, it's interesting. What has happened? What happens? You hear them. You see them. You feel the challenge. You get the grievance. And you can now, you're educated. And you're also emotionally connected with the common man. So this is very open house, is another good practice, opening up your office. You can have a fixed time of scheduling. You may be private sector. People want to meet you, saying 1 hour, undisturbed, come one-on-one basis, one-to-one basis on time. You may not have an appointment. So no appointment required. Unappointed free time. I think it's a great idea. And have a one-on-one session. This is exactly what has happened. And if you see how you would stand and address, not sit, stand. Because as you stand, you're brisker. Otherwise, if you sit, you start relaxing and everybody takes longer time. But if you stand and speak, you're faster. So this is where it went. Okay, let's see this. The open house meant that Raj Nivas is open from Mondays to Wednesdays, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. religiously, for anyone to raise a grievance on a first-come, first-served basis. Each grievance received in open house, as well as from social media, emails, or even WhatsApp, is meticulously recorded and tracked for redressal. We have received so far a total of 31,000 petitions. That's another wonderful practice. Team approach, mobile together. So you're 10 a.m., you're open house, now you're all going together rather than a convoy of cars. All together. Thinking together, responding together, examining together. We can ask for reports. There are no paper reports. So this is how we did every Saturday, Sunday. I spent 5 years there, friends. I've done more than 240 morning rounds every weekend. Every weekend. That's getting out of your comfort zones. Another one. Weekend by bicycle, bus, car, and even on foot. We as a team Rajnivas and a few public officials went visiting locations where deficiencies had been reported. Such reports came through our open house, they came through our WhatsApp messages, they came through newspapers. This made us get out of our bed early and out of our comfort zones. These were the weekends. Every Saturday, every Sunday, we dedicated ourselves to field visits, which required attention. Now the town halls. It's opening up the system as much possible. We used to do a dip test, give everybody a piece of paper and say, tell us any ideas. Idea generation did a dip test. When you bike, you don't only make yourself fit, you actually make the environment fit. fitness is overall. You cannot separate yourself from the environmental fitness. So you contribute to your own fitness, and by biking you contribute to the fitness of the environment as a whole. And when you contribute to the environment, you contribute to the environment of the world, humanity. Have a great day. This is a very vital leadership practice, if adopted and practiced, brings you great dividends, which is doing regularly 101s. Listen to this.
One meetings. Every weekday at 9 o'clock, I personally conducted 101 meetings with secretaries and department heads. This has been a game changer in improving and standardizing essential administrative practices. Through these meetings, I, as a Lieutenant Governor, help myself keep abreast with policies, petitions, spending, and training needs of the various departments. More than that, 101 meetings have allowed me to mentor officers, and by dispensing with hierarchy, clear channels of communications emerged. This has resulted in much better coordination, more responsive and timely delivery of services, and proactive policy and planning. As one officer at the closure of the mentoring said, "Madam, I rue the fact that we did not undergo this briefing during our induction. Had we gone through this learning process, it would have been of immense value."
101 actually made me bond with my team because I could know them. You could go beyond the work. You could see who's a PhD but is at the wrong place, who's got a great qualification of a professional degree and is also the degree is not being used. We could look at the inner, the strengths, the professional strengths and the personal strengths, also the personal weaknesses, or maybe the needs. Somebody may have a disabled or an alcoholism problems at home. They would share it with me. So they shared with me as a mentor, where I provided the solutions. And we could. There was no I. I was Rajnivas. Rajnivas could provide solutions. So this is where we bonded on first name basis. Not secretaries only, the second level, the third level. And look at the kind of bonding one. So if you can spare time for 101s, it's one of the best management practices you can adopt in your career. And that's how you get to know. Suppose you've gone to do a new department. How do you know your people? Start your 101. Get to start 101. Don't write minutes in their presence because you're not recording anything. It's only mentally, but the mental note. But when you meet them again, remember to find out what happened. I got to know their family welfare, and some were totally, they needed to be relocated. So it really helped in their health, on health issues and many other support. So I think that we started to bond with each other, and that led to better implementation of many decisions we were taking. This too was going back. Why did I start rewarding so much? I was already rewarding since 19, even earlier. So see, this was in policing, and this went to Pondicherry Police. So we were, recognition, reward is also a habit. You grow with it. Gratitude is a habit. If you grow with it, you will always be loved behind your back. People will miss you when you leave the office, saying, "वो हमें recognize करती थी, हमें इज्जत देती थी, बुला के हमारा नाम अखबार में देती थी कि उसने ये अच्छा किया." The people will never ever forget you. So see the calm. Don't use people. Don't get into the user relationship. Be the empowering relationship. Be a recognizing relationship, a rewarding relationship. We used to find in Rajnivas every single opportunity to reward a person. Even in the newspaper, if somebody's child got a science medal, Srinivas would call them up saying, "Ma'am wants to meet you." So he would be brought to the office and given a special recognition. A photograph with the Lieutenant Governor. We have left thousands of such photographs in Rajnivas with the children there in Rajnivas. So friends, these are stated to be done. Theoretically, it's all there, but practice them. And here I'm showing you a case study of how we practiced and how we turned it around.
Lieutenant Governor's office adopted was self-evaluation and training.
Now to the next level.
Team Raj Nivas initiated a system of self-evaluation and learning for Puducherry officials. Self-evaluation begins with a group breakfast before a subject-based questionnaire followed by SWOT analysis, which is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. The results are also given immediately by a special team of officers. The SWOT has promoted self-development, self-audit, and provides inputs for formulating departmental plans. Officers who participated in self-evaluation SWOT enjoyed improved confidence, enhanced knowledge, and a renewed interest in their work, and reported a feeling of accomplishment.
Another thing which I got, the book is a product of my habit of documentation. I would have shown you only the picture on 2016. The book is a product of this habit of document. But I realized this habit came from my father in 1966. It's a part of, again, my illustrative story, one of the comic books which we have, called The Top Cop, the making of The Top Cop. My daddy used to keep my news clippings, Neeru, while you and I were playing. He used to keep the clippings. And when I have to come back to Amritsar, he says, and I'm all the way in Vizag or somewhere else. And he says, sit down, this is how the media reported you. How badly you were beaten or how well you won. So daddy used to keep these news clippings. And he actually gave them, and they're still with me. So I learned the documentation habit from him, and I kept up the documentation. And then once I decided that I have to write what I saw, what I experienced, and for the coming generations, particularly the young leaders who are emerging, this documentation is irrefutable. Once you read the book, it sometimes dresses people down completely. Certain chapters, particularly my Honorable Chief Minister, totally in difficult situations, the chapters concerning him. Though I'm not mentioning those aspects of hostility where they cartooned me and ghirawed my Raj Nivas and asked for my recalls, but it's this documentation which helped me to establish what was done and what was unethical and illegal and irregular.
The most important communication strategy as a good practice Team Raj Nivas adopted was a WhatsApp group called Prosperous Puducherry. Team Raj Nivas was quick to grasp the potential. One of the most outstanding communication strategy which Team Raj Nivas adopted was creation of a WhatsApp group called Prosperous Puducherry. You see, the fact is that we were quick to grasp the potential of social media to revolutionize communications within government and the community. Prosperous Puducherry comprises of all officers of all departments, ensuring instant responses to public grievances, often involving several departments. We encouraged all departments also to form similar in-house groups such as police station group, women police group, traffic enforcement group, smart Bahur, women in administration, teachers group, Water Rich Puducherry, and many more. WhatsApp has promoted coordination within government with vastly better sharing of valuable public information such as press coverage, feedback, and issues requiring urgent attention. This mode of communication cuts across hierarchies, unites us in the purpose of serving the community. At least as important is the speed that it has lent to the government's work. Along with it, made it easy with real-time interface for our public. The most innovative and creative feature of Raj Nivas. This creative team is a core group which handles the timely dissemination of information of relevance across various communication platforms, social media, print media, television, publications, and our own dynamic website. This creative team produces short films and maintains an extensive archive of photographs, videos, and documents, which are a valuable record for the office of the Lieutenant Governor. The creative team also ensures Raj Nivas has a pervasive presence across various social media platforms such as the Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and the WhatsApp.
These were all the possible tools we used for communication. There were many others which are not mentioned, which were like weekly messages. We were like the Man Ki Baat that the Prime Minister does. It's a very important communication tool he uses every month. So we used to give weekly television messages of the performance of the week, the plan of the month. So we were the many, many other tools of communication. I've only showed you some of the technology tools which we're using. But like 10 a.m. is a communication tool. The open house is a part of communication. How do you continue to message people, connect with people? Communication is all about, to my mind, touching the hearts, connecting with the hearts and minds of people. Use all possible methods depending on the situation.
While Team Rajnivas
Now we were at joy at
enjoys working hard, we also care, meet, know, and share joy. With more than 14,000 citizens we did in the last 1,000 days. Officers and
Always
workers
found
from all
occasions to
sections of
celebrate
Puducherry's community
at work.
joined in celebrating joy with one message: joyous Puducherry, prosperous Puducherry.
Look for occasions to celebrate in your corporations, in your workplaces. It further bonds you. It relaxes you. It energizes you. It brings about a family feeling at work. So every festival, every occasion has a meaning. We can build on that. Then came our publications, wherever we do. These are and these became the evidence and credible supporting documents for the book. I want you to look at these two leadership models. There's a hierarchical model and there's a creative model of leadership. When you go and join, look at your own models, corporate model. What are the kind of models? Draw them. You see, in the hierarchical model, people are right at the bottom, and see how difficult it is to reach them, for them to climb up. And look at this creative model, which I sometimes call it the Gandhian model, where he is equidistant or equally accessible to all. This was called the Puducherry model, where the Lieutenant Governor's Rajnivas was at the center of all. That's what made the difference. This is the kind of style the today's management requires. We have to reject the hierarchical models, and we have to become creative, accessible, approachable, compassionate, kind, problem-solving. How would you do all this if you're not at the center? And not opening up all the tools of leadership I've already explained to you. They're practices which make you a leader. They're not leadership practices, which actually make you a loved leader. So, summing up, remain accessible. Find your own ways. How do you become accessible? Remain accessible. There are many, many ways I've already shown you, but I've only listed 5. There are strategies. Find your strategies. Be accessible. Be visible. Be visible. Be recognizable. They should say, ये वो है, ये वो है. रोक के पूछें, selfie ले लें आपसे. आपको जानते हैं. So this is how you get recognized. Don't get worried. You must find the time for them. You owe it to them. So be visible, be recognizable. Don't get pressured. You will get pressured. There will be pressure every day. But don't get pressured. How do you not get pressured? Well, there are many courses for that. You can call Mir Mankad for that. Mir, if he can train you for communications, he can train you for don't get pressured. Point is, you would get no pressure. How? By morning stability. Look at yourself to begin with. It's beginning with morning reflection. What's hurting me? What's angering me? What's disturbing me? What's causing me pain? How do I deal with it? Your inner voice will give you the solutions. But don't get pressured. You do once wrong, you'll be asked to say, "Tab kiya tha na, abhi bhi karo." Find solutions. That means you look out for problems. How will you find a solution if you don't know the problem? That means you seek out the problem. You're a problem solver, not a part of the problem. Right? So don't find solutions and be ready to move. It applies more to the public servant. Be ready to get transferred. But you are anyway willingly ready to change jobs for better opportunities. Be ready to move. But wherever you move, all these things would be helpful for you, friends. So here was this book, which has got it all for you. And thanks to Raman that I'm here to present. So all these are detailed, explained as case studies and little 2-3 page chapters. How did we do it? The how and the joy of it. A lot of things are not shared with you. How did I handle adversity? How did I handle legal battles? How did I handle organized crimes? That's another chapter. I can't combine with this another day. I can't combine, it will be too much. But those are those for you, those of you interested. Pick it up. The soft copy is still available. I'm willing to repeat it for you so that you get an opportunity to get a view. And let's hear what she said.
My copy of the book in my iPad. I don't know if you can see it, but I've been reading it again last night. And I must say, I've been absolutely enamored with the book. First of all, it's a very easy read. It's not a laborious book that sort of puts you to sleep. It's written in a language and a style that sort of bullet points, and quickly you can skim through it. Every chapter has lessons, takeaways. I found it very, very engaging. Now, you might wonder why a business executive or a retired business executive should be interested in a book about politics and managing a union territory. Let me be honest, I looked at this book as an example of CEOship in action, leadership in action. And basically what Kiran is saying is, whether you run a company or whether you run a union territory or a state or a country, there are some universal principles. Work for the people, put them before you, be visible, make sure that you have accountability, make sure that you are resilient, make sure that you're honest. There's some universal principles that Kiran articulates throughout her entire book, notwithstanding a key message, which is be humble. Humility, sort of is a theme that goes through the whole book. I'll be honest with you, the thing that bothered me the most reading the book was, here is somebody who's come from a region that she's, far away from Puducherry, comes to Puducherry, wants to do the right thing for the people at a time when that union territory needs help. Yet, the political establishment gave her so much grief.
Dr. Chatterjee was part of the release. He was very kind, spared very valuable time. He is one of my mentors too. Finally, the take home is, once you become fearless, life becomes limitless. What more can I do for you?
Would you like to ask questions?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. If anybody is interested in a question, we'll be open to take a question. Yeah.
Hello. Namaste, ma'am. I'm Anura. Thank you for the wonderful talk. Now about leadership. One component of leadership which I believe is very...
Carry on.
Sorry. One component of leadership that I believe is very central to it and often gets looked down upon or probably not considered enough is empathy. And so I wanted to understand from you, where do you place empathy vis-a-vis leadership? And from your experiences in Puducherry and your over your career, how would you say one can practice mindful, empathetic leadership?
What makes you think the two are separate? What makes you think that they are separate? There is no leadership without empathy. There's no leadership without kindness. There's no leadership without giving. So there is no leadership. That leadership is leadership only in position, but not in performance. Do you want to be in leadership in position? Many people are imposed leadership, but they're neither kind nor compassionate, dishonest. They're not leaders, they are tolerated leaderships, and that's why people pray for them one day to get out and go, and they celebrate their departure. But an empathetic leadership, a kind leadership, an honest leadership, a supporting leadership, a mentoring leadership is missed. So do you want to be missed? Then be human. These are human, basic human qualities. You want a kind mother, you want a kind friend. Yeah? The point is, without kindness, there's no humanity. So you need to practice, inculcate, and be that. If you want to be loved and missed, and also if you want better performance. No better performance will be without kindness. People will then cheat you because you are using them. Don't do business with them. Build relationships with them. Care for them. Whatever you can do, do. What you can't do, there's no harm telling them, I want to do this for you, but I can't transfer you or give you this posting, or I can't give you this increment for the following reasons. Please bear with me. I understand you. If you're happy with me, that's fine, but this is the maximum I can do for you. No harm communicating this. But don't say, kar dunga, or bilkul nahi karunga, and cheat them. You see, as I said, trustworthiness is never without kindness. People will not trust you if you're unkind and crude and rude and indifferent and inaccessible and invisible and non-communicative. If you're a leader in performance and loved, then you have to be kind. Kindness without that kind of is just imposition. So we have imposed leadership. That means you're an imposition. You'll never have the hearts and minds and support of your people and respect of the people. And sometimes even more extra for you they will give you. Only then will they. Can any army general be unkind? Army general, first requirement of an army general is kindness. Caring for his family. Look at the way if our armed forces are being looked after by army wives welfare associations. It's kindness. Every family of every Jawan in this country is being cared for by these associations. I've met most of these women who are heading this. It's nothing but care and kindness, which is making these men stay away from home for months together and be ready to get shot and save the country. It's only because of the organizational kindness they feel secure. Your kindness will make them secure. Your selfishness, using ability, will you will get blessed when you get kind. I think they will, I don't know the opposite word, but that is how it will hurt you. So if you are there as a leader to earn people's blessings, they may be invisible, but it's a bank account you'll be creating for yourself. It's invisible. और कहते ना उनकी दुआओं ले लो, बद दुआ मत लेना. बद दुआ भी लगती है, दुआ भी लगती है. लेकिन ये नहीं है बोलो दुआ दो मुझे. दुआ मांगो नहीं, अपने आप आएगी. वो मेरे लिए उसने किया, मैं उसका देने ही नहीं दे सकता. भला करे उसका. I have seen this come through. I'm telling you, in my life, I've seen this bank of huge reservoir of blessings. I do not know when the magic hand comes and something comes. See, ye kaise hua? Somewhere good deeds are paying back. It's paying it forward, actually. Your kindness is paying it forward. So please ever imagine, then it's not leadership without kindness. Look, in COVID, there was only one instruction from the government of India: do not lay off anybody. What was it? When it said, do not lay off anybody. They were forced, and departments were being looked after. Lay off to nahi kiya. It was kindness. Why was food delivered at the house of every family who was under the BPL? We delivered kgs of rice, dal, pulses, everything at the house of every person living in this country. I know Pondicherry. how we were delivering bags full of pulses, dals, rice, food at the time when everything was locked down. It was kindness. Not money delivery only. Cash was also being delivered so that they can buy when the lockdown is open. So the government of India was so kind. In fact, it's been applauded. The manner in which that kindness was expressed during COVID time has been applauded internationally. There was a money transfer for the BPL, so that when the lockdown you can buy your bread, etc., because there was no earning. Where was the earning for a labor person, rickshawala, 3SR driver, taxi driver? Where's the money? But they were getting direct transfer. Farmers were getting some direct, may not be very big money, but they had cash in hand to buy their essentials and they had basic food to eat. And I know in our departments, policing, we were distributing sanitizers, masks, so many things, and even medicines, essential medicines, house to house. COVID hasn't been won over just like that. COVID has been beaten by that individual kindness. So please never think that you can be unkind and you are a leader. You are in imposition. People are praying that you get out and you get hurt and you get your lessons of life. And God knows when you get this lesson of life. And you never know when you feel blessed. Ki ye kahan se blessing aayi? It was your kindness to somebody invisible. For me, every day this is coming back. When I'm on a flight on somewhere or the other, I find somebody walking up to me and saying, मैडम आप मुझे नहीं जानते मगर मैं आपको नहीं भूल सका अगर आप मगर उस वक्त ये नहीं कराते मेरे लिए आज मैं यहाँ नहीं होता It brings tears in my eyes कर उस वक्त तो मैंने ऐसे ही किया था and he's saying आप ये नहीं होते It's believe me today my life is exactly thus I'm traveling there's not a travel on a flight where I had somebody hasn't walked up to me and said you did this for me I can never forget And I'll tell you where it came from. When I started my career as an ASP, as a 25-year-old, and I sat in my office, I thought of one thing to myself. Whoever comes to me will never forget my face. But whoever comes to me, I may forget their face. But the person who's coming to me will never forget my face. Therefore, I will treat him with greatest kindness and care. Even if I can't be doing what he wants, I can say, sorry, मैं नहीं कर सकती, मेरा मन है, लेकिन मेरे पास ये साधन नहीं है. And you know, it's exactly like a doctor. You may forget the doctor may forget the face of the patient, but the patient will never ever forget a kind doctor. Similarly, a student can never ever forget the face of a kind teacher. Just as we forget teachers, but we remember only the kind teachers. We also remember rude ones, but remember the crude ones, but there will be few. But the kindness is never ever forgotten. So please make this as your cornerstone of your life of kindness.
Good evening, ma'am. I'm Nazneen Malik. So you are a blessing for everyone, especially for us, women. And my question is, who and what motivated you to become IPS? Because you're the first IPS, I would like to know, what motivated you?
Number one, the tennis racket. Number two, the NCC uniform. And yeah, I was one of the finest NCC cadets of my time. The adventure in uniform, the love of uniform, the discipline in uniform, the power behind uniform. The transformative nature of it in uniform. It depends how you want to use it. And also to be different. You know, one of the first few autobiographies after I became the national junior champion, and I used to travel in classes. So somewhere it started to get known, she's so-and-so, Kiran Peshawariya. I was then Kiran Peshawariya after I became, then I became Bedi. Then they used to say, and I used to write my first autograph, be extraordinary in your life. I used to write this as a 16-year-old girl. Be extraordinary in your life. So I was looking for extraordinary things. And IPS for me was extraordinary.
Thank you.
Hello, namaste, ma'am. Ma'am, so in one of your like animated documentaries, I saw like once you were traveling in a train and you went into a female compartment and like they were trying to throw you out, thinking that you are a male. So like one of your slippers fell down from the train and like forward when the train went forward, you threw away your other slipper as well. So like I want to know that what are the virtues behind this? Where do you get this? Like you are in a big trouble, but you're also thinking about someone who might pick up one slipper and the other slipper as well. Like what goes behind during that time of difficulty where you are in, but at the same time you're thinking about the other person as well.
A sense of humanity, nothing else. Very basic, very ordinary. मेरा तो नुकसान हो गया, दूसरे का भला हो जाए. You see, when you start thinking मेरा नुकसान हो गया, वो तो मैं पूरा नहीं कर सकती, लेकिन दूसरे का भला हो जाए तो मेरा क्या प्रॉब्लम? I feel happy. कोई जूती उठाएगा तो दोनों मिल जाएंगी, चप्पल पहन के घर चला जाएगा. That feeling of consideration for others. Moment you have an issue, but don't delve on it. I can't do anything about it. I can't jump out of the car of the train. But chal meri giri, chal do tu tera bhala ho. So I think this is a good philosophy of life. It's a good philosophy. It puts you at peace. It de-stresses you all the time. You want to look for distress, दूसरे का भला सोचो. वो तुम्हारा कुछ नहीं जाने वाला. By giving you don't become less. On the contrary, you grow. Gratitude and giving along with kindness are very important practice of leadership. If you practice them, inculcate them, you will be loved. Become loved leadership. Not efficient, very efficient. Yeah, efficient but very kind. Very compassionate. Very effective. Of course you can be effective. I used to suspend people, dismiss people, jail people, but they were very few. But they were a lesson for the others. That I cannot be taken for granted, but I'm not unkind. This is also a form of another performance where you have to be effective. Another important quality is effective leadership, but not rude and crude. Not selfish. It's well-intentioned. I think behind every leadership quality, always remember intention.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Mansi. How did you manage to remain kind to the people who did not reciprocate, especially the people who were sexist to you?
How did I what?
How did you manage to remain kind to the people who did not reciprocate the same to you, especially who were sexist towards you?
By being more effective, by being more efficient. I dealt with my chief minister really well. Really well. You know, absolutely. Ask Srinivas. Is he gone? Is he? Oh my God, the man almost started to cry. Started to wonder where does he go? Because I took him for everything to the court. He took me to court. I defended it to the hilt. That was my way of giving it back. And the legacy left behind us, there's nothing left more for anything to be questioned on the powers of the Lieutenant Governor. Because one judgment after the other came from Supreme Court and Madras High Court. So be effective. So don't get overwhelmed by that. Play the game. By effectiveness, by elevating yourself to a higher level of efficiency. And of course, my team spirit, team building was very powerful. So I think team building, having confidence, trusted employees, building that kind of team is very vital for a leader. My strength was my team. That's why everything was called team leadership. Team Rajnivas. Everything was team Rajnivas. My editor had a real problem. When I was writing, she was working on my script, she says, every time you say we, there's something called I also. I said, no, there's no I. It's all we. Acha, then it came. Then something wrong went. He says, "Main idhar bhi we likh do?" I said, "Nahi, idhar I likho." So I think these are the spirits which will help you. When you're kind, you're not weak. Oh my God, actually kindness comes from your inner strength. Okay?
Ma'am, there is a question someone asked online, Shweta Reddy. So when you lifted Indira Gandhi's car using a crane in Delhi, were you not scared of doing this?
That scare had gone long ago. Had I been scared, I would have never been in uniform. Oh, I loved the fact that this uniform could send a larger message to the country, people of India, is that rule of law is above you. Whoever you may be, law is above you. So it gave me a situation, a message, an opportunity to give this message. I never looked back after that. So thereafter, I was seen to say either I was accepted or not accepted, because they knew my responses. It helped me, it didn't help me, doesn't matter, but it helped me. How does it matter? It helped me, but it helped myself. I could live a life of dignity, sense of freedom, right? It was limitless freedom. So I lived that limitless life. Carry on. Certainly. Oh, certainly. Thank you for being very considerate. I can sit down now. Okay, good. Carry on. Last question.
Yeah,
Anybody
ma'am,
else?
I have a question.
Where's that question?
Here.
Okay. Yeah?
So my question is that, first of all, I want to thank you for a very inspiring speech. I'm also from Amritsar, and very proud of you. My question is that you must have been through a lot of ups and downs in terms of emotional resilience. I want to understand that throughout your life, how have you managed this? Because we get into different situations every now and then. We don't have control over people. You can control yourself only. But then it's tough sometimes to manage your emotions. So need your guidance on emotional resilience based on your experience.
Live life one day at a time. Don't mix them. Don't bundle them out. Just deal with life one day at a time. And there is a moment to moment. The moment you become a little more alert on what's happening in your mind, then you mind the mind. Mind doesn't mind you. Remember that. Be the master of your own mind. Don't make the mind master you. So it's not, and I didn't grow with it. I learned it by self-observation. I've also gone through a lot. There's no way that I won't go ups and downs. But as I got to start dealing with it, I think minding the mind helped me. And that inner engineering which I talked about, which is Isha Foundation words, that inner engineering, doing your practices in the morning, really actually declutters your mind. And then that puts aside for a while. It may come back, but you're a master. So I think learn the art of mastery over your thoughts. And two thoughts never come together, they stay together. One thought replaces the other. Two thoughts don't stay, they come after the other. There's a sequence. Look, I'm not a philosopher, I'm not a preacher, I'm not this thing. All I'm doing is telling you my experience. So when I get an angry thought or a sad thought, I also miss my parents. I miss my younger sister whom I loved the most. But how can I go on? I have to go on. So what I do is, when I feel I'm in a high emotion of missing somebody very close to me who's no more, I can't stay on with it. I have to live on. So I replace it consciously by something else. But that doesn't mean I don't miss them. I love them. I don't love them less. But I love them. But I move on. Which means my mind tells me, Kiran, move on. Deal on. And then it also searches for solutions for me. Because then I'm focusing not on what I've lost. Focus is what can I do with this particular situation. Like for instance, we were in a lot of grief in Pondicherry. We were in a lot of grief. But they were in grief. They thought they were giving us in grief. We weren't. On the contrary, we were looking for solutions. We were laughing, joyfully, biking, finding solutions. They thought we were. That's what Indira Nui thinks we were in grief. We were in grief very temporarily. Not in an exaggerated way. Ye ho gaya? Oh, lots of media used to give useless messages, headlines which are totally wrong. That is a grief point. We retaliated in the sense we sent a rejoinder. We held a press brief. We sent a message on social media. We responded proactively to go over that. The remorse never remained. We responded with more energy, more positivity. You understand? So it says, please get into the habit of minding your mind. Always remember, is the mind controlling you or are you controlling the mind?
The moment mind starts controlling you, it is enslaving you. And the habit of the mind is to enslave you. If you are to be a master of your mind, every time the mind makes you slip into past or remorse or pain or suffering or deprivation or deficiency, go to it. No, I know you want me to go back to this, but let's work on the solution. I have to deal with it. Then the mind starts working on solutions. It's an amazing story. Practice it, practice, and my Amritsar friend, you'll get it.
Ma'am, thank you so much for the wonderful and thought-provoking speech, ma'am. Having a team spirit, collaboration, and I have the set of questions before us. So, with your permission, we would like to start.
I thought they were good enough.
We have a few more questions with us, ma'am.
Depends on the time you have.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, so the first question with your permission.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Go and take care of the money in Puducherry, Kiranji. So these were the words of our Prime Minister, ma'am, Shri Narendra Modi ji, while posting you as Lieutenant Governor, and advised you to take care of financial and administrative matters. So when you heard these words, what were the thoughts that you first came to your mind? And did you draw any plans for the implementation?
Oh, I loved it because he was trusting me. He was entrusting me with the exchequer of Puducherry. I think it was a sense of self-pride, completely. I felt good. Because you see, I know my capability. I know who I am. I know what I can't do. I'll tell you what I can't do. I cannot do intelligence bureau. I can't do intelligence snooping. I can't be a spy around. Invisible intelligence collection is not my nature. So if he had said, "Ye intelligence ka kaam karna na," main kehni, "Sir, mujhe aata nahi hai." But when he was giving me this, I knew he was entrusting me. So I have to live up to the trust. I didn't doubt myself. So I felt good, number one. Number two, what was your part B?
So did you draw any plans, ma'am?
Oh, straight away my plan was, I start to work. He gave me just 1 week joining time to say, "Jaldi jao." मैंने कहा, "Sir, मुझे मेरी कुछ meetings हैं, कोई meetings नहीं, जल्दी जाओ." So he himself cut down. I had some wonderful engagements planned, so I had to cancel them. And moment I told them, "मुझे उधर जाना है, इसलिए जाना है." Everybody said, "हाँ, बड़े खुश हैं, तुम जाओ." But the point is, I start preparing from day one. I start to feel responsible towards the territory, and for 7 days I did a lot of homework on understanding Pondicherry's problems before I landed.
That's wonderful, ma'am. Thank you so much. So we also foresee, such assignments for our ISBNs. If not such high post, but big post dealing with financial and administrative matters. Would you like to give any suggestions for the emerging leaders at ISB?
Know your rules completely. My strength was reading the rules and applying the rules properly on the note sheets and the files, so that tomorrow there's an audit account, it will be by the rule. So know your budget, know your rules, take into account the advice given by the team, get your financial expert, and stick to the rules. Finances, you must stick to the rules. Because if the moment you cross it over and you overspend, how do you justify? Where do you get the money from? And if you're borrowing, if you're permitted, what are you borrowing for? So don't get into debt traps. Actually, this was financial prudence, which there's a very good chapter on financial prudence, how we have managed the that was a problem between me and the political executive, because they had a need to overspend, to overstate, to overpromise something for which was never budgeted. They wanted to shift one budget head to the other without due process, which was not allowed. And therefore, we stuck to the rules, and which is obviously a problem for them, because they would announce first and have money and no money later. So I think that was the difference. We stuck to the rules. That was my strength. And my team expertise in financial came to my rescue in a very good way.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for the wonderful
advice. Thank you. So my message is, read your rules. Don't listen. If my colleague will say, "Ma'am, this is the rule," I will say, "Bring the rule. Bring the GFR, General Financial Rules. Let me read the rules." Because hearing and reading is your mastery. Thereafter, you can quote the rule. So therefore, my strength was reading
rules myself and then defending it.
The next question is from your recent book, ma'am, Fearless Governance. You said, make Pondi clean or I leave. From your experience, we as students of ISB community would like to understand your thought process on how we should do the groundwork for aligning large-scale campaigns from grassroots level.
I've heard the first portion that I just threatened them to I will leave Pondicherry because if you don't clean it up. That's a fact. Because I was cleaning up every weekend. I was cleaning up a lot of garbage. Pondicherry was very unclean. And I cannot stay in an unclean office or a surrounding. Cleanliness is very, very vital to me. So when I used to roam the streets, garbage piles all over, municipal officers, workers missing. It got my goat. And they were lethargic. They were never ever, they were not on the streets. They were never walking the streets and letting it fester with mosquitoes and piles. It just could not be tolerated. So I started to clean up myself. And you see, I did not know my colleagues yet. They didn't know me. There was no bonding yet. They were only working in silos. Telling them, ordering them would work. And I did not have the political establishment on my side to support me. To the extent even the current chief secretary of that time was not supporting me. He did not want visibility in the administration at all. So I had to take the plunge. I started to bicycle. I started to go on Saturday rounds because otherwise I would have been merely an incompetent administrator. I would have been an ineffective administrator if I had not done what I did. I actually drove myself to do it so that others follow. And that's what others start to. But after a while I realized, ye to keh rahe, yahi karegi. See, they found, I'm going to clean up. I said, to hell with you, then I'm going back. So I threatened, but I knew people were benefiting by the cleanliness methods. So when people had started to taste the cleanliness because of the work which was happening, wherever it was happening, I found that we were winning them over gradually. So when it was a larger gathering, I threatened them. I said, oh, listen, I'm getting things cleaned up. You are still continuing to dirty and litter. I'm going away another few weeks. No, madam, don't go. I wanted to hear that. So it worked. So sometimes threats work. Is it mummy kehte na, main ja rahi hu, tu kehna nahi manenge.
Thank you for that, ma'am.
Ma'am, the next question
so
is...
it was not it was a very loving threat.
Okay. Definitely, ma'am. So the next question is interesting for us, and I'm sure a lot of us would be actually eager to know your thoughts on this. So nowadays, government departments, ministries are increasingly hiring the services of students as well as faculty of B schools like ISB. What would you like to suggest as the scope of services to render growth of India so that we can directly take part with the government? How can we help and engage?
One national policy which can make the demographic dividend of this country into a huge, to truly a dividend. How? You can involve the youth in everything. Every college student can be involved in something or the other. Medical students can be involved in supporting dispensaries over weekends. Higher school students can teach the younger ones. They can be involved into teaching the 12th standard, 10th standard can teach mathematics to 2nd, 3rd standard as a part of practice. All engineering students can be involved with PWD departments. Education department can be associated with teachers' training programs. Universities having university social responsibility can be involved in Swachh Bharat, planting trees and into cleaning up as a part of what donors. Community can be involved in water recharging because they have the machinery and they can do the way we did. To my mind, every youth, NCC cadets can become police cadets associated with police officers, police stations, and go and do this. So tell me which department, IT experts, software, can be associated with the IT departments in managing websites, which they can't. They're all outdated because they don't have the manpower. So look, this will be the most transparent, educative way of training the youth of this country. We are only delaying it.
by saying 1 lakh jobs of apprentices, 1 lakh jobs of internships. 1 lakh nahi. You need 400 million, you need 300 million. Today, every department should have interns of youth with them. We did a internship program in Rajnivas. We did exactly that. If every department opens up, but will departments open up? Because departments cannot open up if they have skeletons in the cupboards or there's something to hide. But today, every youth, turn by turn, look, youth can be involved with NGOs, healthcare issues. Every youth, that's the best way, the surest way, practical way of teaching humanity to the youth and patriotism. It comes at no additional cost to the government exchequer at all. Every department of the government should have an MOU with colleges, engineering colleges, medical colleges, professional colleges, even management can be doing management issues like lieutenant governors, such high positions, be as management interns. Do it turn by turn in a year. So even if you do 2 weeks in a year, 3 weeks in a year, it will transform you, because first of all, you will get to see how governments function, how departments function. The corporate world is taking interns because it's grooming their next employee. They're doing it for the next employee to see whether they can be employed for the benefit of the organization. Why can't governments do? Why can't the universities plant trees? Imagine 300 million, 400 million who can plant trees, which means every birthday at least they can plant a tree. 300 million trees without any cost, you plant trees. So youth of this country is the wealth of this nation. They can be associated. PGT teachers, go to these primary teachers, the teachers, why can't they be associated with schools? You train and be in turn, sit down as class teachers, see what's happening. So I think there's endless amount. I don't think the youth of any nation, any youth of any person, any youth should be not linked. Every youth to mine, let's be more positive. Every youth ought to be linked with some cause. Some cause. One, in which he's being educated or she's being educated. Secondly, is elder care, health care. They need it. So why not in the neighborhoods, youth being taking care of health care, visiting senior citizens? Every youth, before he goes to college, should be kis cheez mein associated. What is your giving? I think another way is, what have you given? You are taking, what are you giving? Giving to this nation, giving to your society, giving to your community. Agriculture, horticulture. I think there's endless ways. I think we are wasting a lot of youth time by not adopting this as soon as possible. The earlier, you see, other countries send forcible army training. Israel's, when they need every youth, what do? They need every youth. There's a compulsory military training, because otherwise how do they defend the country? We have surplus. We don't need them to go for military training. But we can associate them and prepare them. I believe now there's another policy which is coming up in the armed, where they will recruit youngsters and train them for the armed for 3 months, etc., and keep them as a reserve force. I think a stage is coming. They will be contractual soldiers. They're contractual people. I think there was, 2 days ago, there was a news in the report. They're looking at this policy. Why? To reduce the pension pay burden on the government, so that they are contractual and they can do that kind of work which need not go up right till they retire. So they come and there's a rotation in the society. I think that's a good way. See, but these are still small. I have no doubt that the President of India gave this University Social Responsibility concept called USR 3 years ago when he came for Pondicherry. He is the one, President Govind. He said it. And why have we not practiced it? University social responsibility, where every student, the university adopts certain areas as university social responsibility, while the corporates are doing corporate social responsibility. In that, obviously, youth is involved. You can't do it without the youth. So don't prick me on this. This is my softest point.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Ma'am, we have recently initiated Break the Bias event at ISB. Break the Bias event at ISB to help prevent the incident of gender bias. We would love to hear from you, as you being the first woman IPS officer and Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry. Did you face any bias at workplace? If yes, how did you deal with them?
Oh, every time I saw it, I smashed it. Every time I saw a word like this or a comment like this, I walked up to that person saying, may I know who you are? Why are you saying this? Oh, may I know why you saying it? Correct it, take it back. So I used to say, take it back. वो कहते थे खाना खा रहे थे ladies first. I said, no, gents first. You are hungrier than me. तुम खाओ. Well, ladies first. What do you mean by ladies first? I think message should be hungry first. है ना? Not ladies first. I'm not hungry. You hungry, you go. So I think we must stand up to this nonsense. जब भी को देखिए एक बारी मैं VIP security में थी. I was maybe wearing this kind of dress on duty, and he said that officer asked me, किरण जी आपको साड़ी पहननी चाहिए. मैंने कहा आपको धोती पहननी चाहिए. तो वो चुप हो गया. मैं क्या कर लेगा तू? So I think डरना नहीं चाहिए हर चीज से. जब मौका है कहने का जरूर कहो. थप्पड़ का जवाब जरूरी नहीं थप्पड़ मारो. जरूरी नहीं है. उसको तरीके से कहो. राइट? छोटी उम्र में जब मेरे साथ कोई लड़का छेड़ता था, मैं उसको नहीं छोड़ती थी. एंड अमृतसर में वो बॉयफ्रेंड ऑफ माइन वुड से दे वेयर अ टर्बन. हाँ, सो अगर साइकिल पे मैं भी जा रही हूँ, उसने मुझे छेड़ा, आई वुड फॉलो हिम एंड आई वुड पुल हिज टर्बन. तो ऐसी होती थी, टर्बन उसकी घूमती सड़क पर जाती थी. ही वुड लूज हिज टर्बन. व्हाई शुड आई सफर? सो आई वोंट सफर नॉनसेंस. वेयर इट इज the way, if you have an opportunity to respond in tit for tat at that time, and it gives a message, give it. If it needs a little calculated reflection response, take it, but that comes with experience. But with youth, it's for tit for tat. But at work, it was words.
That was very nice, ma'am. What advice would you like to give to the young women entrepreneurs and leaders here?
You're less than nobody. On the contrary, you're plus. Women are plus. Because all these qualities which you are talking, you and I are born with. You don't have to learn them.
Wow, ma'am. Wow.
We have them inside our DNA. See, what men have is energy and strength. It's their DNA. But when I become a champion and I do all these things, then I've already taken what they have. Plus I have. So I'm a plus.
Wonderfully put.
Very true, ma'am. Very true.
So be a plus. And people will love you. So they have to be trained to be plus. Just as I have to be trained to be a plus. But the day I train myself to be a plus, then I'm more strong, isn't it? Just as the men, when they become these kind of, all these emotional quotient which you can see, all these qualities, they also plus. Because then they're loved. Then they're loved. Gandhi was androgynous manager. He had the best of men and women in him. He had the warmth of the woman and he had the energy and the stamina of the man. And that's why he was loved. He was a loved leader. Because he had the best of men and women qualities in him. So the day all of us get the best of the female traits and the male traits, you emerge as a person. You're no more a man or a woman. You're a complete person. So I think we need to work towards personhood rather than being limiting ourselves to being a man or a woman. Be the person entrepreneurs.
Very thoughtful, ma'am. Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
So, ma'am, I have one question, which is a little fun part, I think. So many movies of yesteryears, they portrayed police as funny and not so positive. But we notice that this scenario has changed now. Thinking of the movie makers has been influenced with the saga of brave, intelligent and straightforward officers like you. So how much and what kind of efforts did you have to put in to bring about this change?
I think it was over a period public criticism also. Just you can't tinker with the army, where you cannot play with the air force and those things which they've been busy. So just the army became very sensitive. The governments of the day also became sensitive. And that's how I think the Hollywood changed.
True, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for the interesting perspective.
We shall now move on to the last question, ma'am. Many of us in this room are working with both public and private sectors.
Many of us?
In this room are working with both public and private sectors. The general observation is that works in a public sector usually gets delayed when compared to the private sectors.
During gets
Gets delayed.
DA?
Delayed. Delayed.
DA? Oh, they get a dearness allowance.
They get delayed. Yeah.
Achha, I thought dearness allowance. So many in the public sector work gets delayed. Oh,
Yes,
of course,
yes.
they get delayed.
When compared to the private sector. And there are a lot of hindrances in public sector which delays the overall process, and in some cases we don't even see the light of the day. Due to the present process, many people are suffering in both rural and urban areas. From your experience, what reforms do you think we should bring into the public sector?
Very simple, costs you nothing. It will cost you nothing. Whether it's a private sector, if you get delayed, you don't get your revenues. You don't get your revenue. So for the private sector, timely completion of projects is a question of their survival, right? And reputations.
Yes.
And business,
Yes.
right? And in private sector, there's a sense of security, therefore it can get delayed. But a very simple solution is, if government sectors adopt as soon as possible, is just as youth engagement, if the earlier we do, the better. Similarly, in this cases, earlier we start the day with the field. Rather than the public sector or a government employee starts the day from the office at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m., whatever they do. Start your day in the field. Which means if you are a project officer, you go to your projects. You see your projects. That means you are not asking for paper reports. Go and see your projects. The moment the public sector or the government employee becomes visible, mobile, and goes and sees things for himself and becomes recognizable, and then reviews himself on the ground the way we did, morning rounds, visibility, I think that your project cannot be delayed. And number two, if after that, then what will he do? If it's getting delayed, he will know who is not performing, which contractor is not delivering, which public official is not working. He then, obviously, because he's seeing, he will like to correct it, because his accountability will go up. But at the moment he starts the day in the field, he's remote, he asks only for reports, and he does not know who is not a performer, he's not able to ask them, or he's not asking for more resources, and it gets delayed, and he's also not held accountable. So if one rule is passed in all public sectors, that start your day in the field, and if you're a project manager, then go to the project one at a time. Every day, choose one project. So choose one project, send a note on that, put it on WhatsApp, photograph, put it on that of that group, saying today I was here, I saw it will electrify and keep the rest of the department on their toes completely. You start this, if anybody in the public sector here? Raise your hand high. How about starting your day in the field? 2. How about start your day in the field?
I was in public sector, obviously not in the central or state government. So I just recently moved, but I have experience of 10 years in BHL. So you are right, ma'am. Most of the projects which I dealt, hardly I think 2 to 5% of the time I spent on the field. So mostly it was all official and paperwork and all. So whatever you're telling, I resonate with it.
There you are. Thank you very much. If it is done, it will be magic. If you want to transform, then it's visibility, nothing else. Visibility, mobility, and review on site. You will see magic. You will actually perform faster. You will deliver before the timelines. I have been saying, what if an education secretary goes to school every day? It begins with the school. What if a health secretary starts his day with the dispensary? What if a PWD secretary starts with any one project every day? What if the municipal commissioner looks at any one street in a park every day? It will be magic. What if the superintendent of police and the collector starts from any one village round or tour regularly? and then makes a small note, puts it into the WhatsApp group, photographs the filth, photographs it and puts it in the group. You will see the whole department will get energized. It costs nothing. But we have technology, but we're not using it, which we can. And we have government transport, which we are not using for which it is meant for. So third, we are being paid for all our, but we're not putting it in the field. In fact, Prime Minister, I think few days ago, said, "Sadak se niklo bahar, office se bahar niklo." But all they need to do is one issue of circular. They can issue a circular order, direction, that in your appraisal, it will be written whether you were visible and mobile or not, and whether you were on proper tours or not. You will see the change. I think we are losing out a lot. Same precious time we are losing sitting in the office. Start your day. Why did I say? Because during the day, what will happen? There will be other things which will catch up. And you will get stuck. उनको पता हो आज पता नहीं ऑफिसर कौन सी जगह कब पहुंच जाएगा. People should be surprised. I did not include this. Every 9 a.m. as a Deputy Commissioner of Police of a district in Delhi Police, I was in a police station at 9 a.m. every day. And I had my crime tips on my thing. Crime was under control because I was listening to my police constable and learning from them, and my police stations were clean. My staff was present in time. Similarly, as a traffic in charge, I was on the roads at 8 a.m., not 9, because traffic picks up by 8:39. So I was on the road at 8 a.m. to see traffic lights are functioning. Are a policeman on the road? Is any obstacle? Remember the crane thing started? Actually, exactly from there, when I brought the cranes to remove the broken down vehicles, because I was seeing them every day at 8 a.m. And I gave a free flow to people to go home. So they start to feel the comfort. It was only by visibility. But I had to be out of the comfort zone every day myself. So once, as a leader, you are on project sites, the entire department's performance completely changes. Try doing this as public sector. Private sector, you have to be, otherwise you will lose your revenue. So there's a compulsion there, but there's no compulsion here. So compulsion has to be a practice.
That was a very useful information, ma'am. As they say, learning never ceases. We as students now and also later in our lives shall observe all these and broaden our perspectives to change the way we see the entire world. Thank you, ma'am.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So with those questions, we end the Q&A session. Thank you so much for making this session very interesting and informative, ma'am. So that being said, we are actually eager to know a little bit more about you through rapid fire round.
Oh.
So the rules are pretty simple, ma'am. We request you to just give us the first quick thought that you get as soon as you hear the question.
Okay, I'll try.
Thank you, ma'am. Your favorite food or cuisine?
My favorite?
Food or cuisine?
Food or cuisine. I have to be hungry to enjoy my food, but simple dal roti is good enough.
Mine too, ma'am. Your favorite movie?
A Woman Called Golda.
Your favorite actor or actress?
None. Sabhi, theek hai.
So your favorite holiday destination?
Oh, holiday destination is my home.
Lovely.
Since I'm so mobile that when I'm home, it's a holiday.
Lovely to know, ma'am. So we would love to know your inspiration.
My inspiration is my morning time. Morning time, which is reading, yoga, inner reflect. Oh my God, I can't skip that morning time. So when I choose a flight, I told him choose anytime noon time onwards because I didn't want to lose my morning. My morning is a very strong inspiration hours.
Wow. Ma'am, recent book that you have read?
Huh?
Recent book that you have read?
Which book? I haven't. I finished reading Indira Nui's book, My Life in Full. I liked it.
Ma'am, what is your favorite work memory?
Work memory? I think right now, is this work?
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, define success in one word.
You're happy with yourself. I think you're happy and grateful. If you enjoy a sense of happiness and gratitude, I think you're successful.
Thank you, ma'am. That was wonderful. now I would like to call upon Mr. Raman Pandey, a student of PGPpro, class of 2024, for vote of thanks.
Has witnessed a charismatic leader. Ma'am, your session has been moving, encouraging and inspiring for us. Ma'am, the guidance and advice you have bestowed upon us today will stay with us forever. I'm sure all of us would agree when I say this. You have molded our thoughts with your fearless governance and leadership skills. We are fortunate to interact with you and be in your company, ma'am. On behalf of this ISB community, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude. Thank you, ma'am. Now, to end the session, I would like to call upon the stage Deepak, Deepti, and Charuti to present a token of respect.
Everything should be visible, right?
No, that's okay. No, I hope the gift is good. Oh, we have to take photo, no? I forgot.
Before we conclude, I would like to thank SEAL, the organizing committee, and my friends from ISB community for making this event a huge success. And thank you so much, ma'am, for accepting my request, for coming here and giving your insightful session. Thank you, ma'am.